Most national parks preserve towering mountains or deep canyons, breathtaking snapshots of geologic time. But Everglades National Park protects something different entirely. This park was established in 1947. It was the first in the United States created specifically to safeguard a fragile, living ecosystem. This ecosystem is a vast, shallow river flowing just inches deep across southern Florida. They call it the River of Grass. Fed by water overflowing from Lake Okeechobee, this incredible sheet of fresh water creeps southwest towards Florida Bay. Its pace is almost imperceptible, maybe a quarter of a mile each day. This slow, steady flow, 40 to 70 miles wide, defines the Everglades, giving life to a landscape unlike any other on Earth. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas captured its essence in her iconic 1947 book title, cementing the name in the public mind. Underneath it all lies limestone, a relic of Florida's ancient past as part of a supercontinent and later, a shallow marine environment. This permeable rock isn't just a foundation, it's a sponge. It stores immense amounts of water, largely from rainfall and also from the watershed to the north. Evaporating water from the Everglades even becomes rain over the metropolitan areas. This recharges the underground Biscayne Aquifer, which is South Florida's primary source of fresh water. The land might look flat, but subtle rises and depressions in this limestone shape the flow and create different environments. This dynamic water system gives rise to a complex mosaic of interdependent habitats. 9 distinct ecosystems exist within the park, their boundaries constantly shifting based on water levels. Understanding the Everglades means understanding this intricate web of wet and dry places. Perhaps the most classic image is the freshwater slough, low-lying drainage channels covered in that slow-moving water. Here, sawgrass dominates, sometimes growing over 6 feet tall. Adjacent are the marl prairies, similar but where water seeps through calcitic mud rather than flowing. Both are vital feeding grounds for wading birds and are home to the park's famous alligators. These ancient reptiles play a crucial role in the dry season. They dig burrows that retain water, creating essential refuges for fish and amphibians. These creatures then repopulate the glades when the rains return. Scattered throughout the grass and water are tropical hardwood hammocks. These are the dry spots, rising just inches above the surrounding landscape. Dense canopies of subtropical and tropical trees create shaded, sheltered environments. Animals thrive here, including snakes, frogs, owls, and mammals like deer, raccoons, and the rare Florida panther, one of the most endangered mammals on the planet. High and dry, relatively speaking, are the pine rocklands. These areas feature slash pines growing in solution holes where the limestone has dissolved. This habitat is uniquely dependent on fire. The pines are adapted to burn, dropping dry needles and shedding bark to fuel low-intensity fires that clear competing hardwoods and open pine cones to release seeds. Without regular fires every few years, these pinelands disappear. They are now considered one of Florida's most threatened habitats, with only small areas remaining outside the park. Along the coast, the largest continuous mangrove system in the Western Hemisphere stands guard. 3 species of mangroves thrive in saltwater, remarkably tolerant of harsh conditions. These dense forests act as vital nurseries for countless marine species like fish, crabs, and mollusks. They form the base of the food web. They are also crucial nesting and feeding areas for hundreds of bird species, and provide habitat for animals like the American crocodile and the West Indian manatee. Beyond their ecological role, mangroves are Florida's first line of defense against hurricane storm surges and coastal erosion. Humans have lived in and around the Everglades for thousands of years. 2 prominent tribes, the Tequesta and the Calusa, occupied the coasts, using the Everglades as a boundary and traveling through it, though rarely settling deep inside. The Calusa, more numerous, built complex societies and left behind large shell mounds, some rising 20 feet high. These mounds, still found in the park today, offer archaeologists clues about their lives and toolmaking, reliant on shell and bone. By 1800, disease and conflict had led to the disappearance of both tribes. Following the Seminole Wars in the 19th century, American pioneers settled along the coast. Small communities sprang up, notably on Chokoloskee Island, built on a massive Calusa shell mound, and at Flamingo on Cape Sable. These isolated outposts, reachable only by boat for decades, served as trading centers for fishermen and farmers carving a living from the edge of the wilderness. The late 19th and early 20th centuries brought a new ambition: draining the Everglades. Napoleon Bonaparte Broward campaigned for governor in 1904 on the promise of creating an empire of the Everglades through drainage. Initial canals were followed by larger projects aimed at converting wetlands to agriculture and residential land, fueling the South Florida land boom of the 1920s. It was a period described by some as insanity, building rapidly on newly drained, volatile land. Nature pushed back. Devastating hurricanes in 1926 and 1928 caused Lake Okeechobee's levees to fail, resulting in immense loss of life. In response, the Herbert Hoover Dike, a 4-story wall, was built around the lake, effectively cutting off the historic flow of water to the Everglades. This engineering feat solved one problem but created another for the ecosystem downstream. With water diverted and land opened, human activity took a heavy toll. Vast areas were logged for timber. Animals were hunted on a massive scale. Entire rookeries of wading birds were wiped out for their plumes, destined for fashion. Canals were deepened, water levels plummeted, throwing food webs into chaos. Saltwater began creeping inland, even into the Biscayne Aquifer, South Florida's water supply, a problem that persists today. Melaleuca and Australian pines, introduced for drainage and windbreaks, became invasive nightmares. Amidst this destruction, a powerful voice emerged. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, originally a reporter assigned to write about the Miami River, spent years researching the Everglades. Her 1947 book, The Everglades, River of Grass, painted a vivid picture of its natural beauty. Crucially, it documented its rapid disappearance. She famously stated the River of Grass had been made a river of fire by greed and ignorance. Her lifelong dedication, founding Friends of the Everglades, earned her nicknames reflecting both deep respect and political opposition. Conservationists pushed for decades to protect the area. Ernest F. Coe, known as the father of Everglades National Park, led early efforts, battling to preserve a large tract against development interests during the Great Depression. Despite authorization in 1934, funding was delayed. Through passionate advocacy and political negotiation, a smaller but still significant area was established as a national park. This included efforts by Senator Spessard Holland and Miami Herald editor John Pennekamp. President Truman dedicated the park just a month after Douglas's book was published. But establishing the park wasn't enough. The massive Central and Southern Florida Flood Control Project, authorized the same year, continued building thousands of miles of canals and structures, further controlling and diverting water away from the park. By the 1960s, the Everglades was visibly suffering. Only in recent decades has the focus shifted. Major initiatives, like the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, also known as SERP, aim to undo decades of damage and return water flow. This effort is controversial and expensive, and involves tearing down canals instead of building them. Recognizing its unique global importance, Everglades National Park has received multiple international designations. These include a Biosphere Reserve, a wetland of international importance, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. However, the ongoing damage means it has also spent significant time on the list of World Heritage in danger, a stark reminder of the challenges it faces from continued ecological degradation. Threats persist today. Urban areas relentlessly press against the park's borders, particularly on the West Coast, stressing water resources and ecosystems. A National Geographic assessment notably gave the park a low score, citing encroachment as pushing the ecosystem into a tailspin. Non-native species run rampant, lacking natural controls. Melaleuca and Brazilian pepper choke out native plants. Burmese pythons, among other introduced reptiles, are a significant problem, competing with and preying on native wildlife, including alligators. Many species face grave threats. The Florida panther, already mentioned, battles habitat loss, vehicle collisions, and genetic isolation. The American crocodile, once endangered, is now threatened but still vulnerable to habitat destruction and boats. Sea turtles, including the endangered green and hawksbill, suffer from habitat loss and fishing practices. The tiny Cape Sable seaside sparrow and the apple snail-eating Everglades snail kite, found nowhere else in the United States outside this region, face uncertain futures as water management decisions shift their delicate habitats. Despite the challenges, experiencing the Everglades remains a powerful connection to a unique wilderness. Visitors can explore the Everglades in many ways. They can take scenic drives or hike trails like the popular Anninga Trail to see wildlife up close. They can cycle through pine rocklands, or paddle kayaks and canoes through mangrove tunnels and the Wilderness Waterway. Boat tours are also available. While swimming isn't recommended due to abundant wildlife, the park offers opportunities for camping, birdwatching, and fishing, providing a window into this vital, complex, and still threatened landscape.